shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Top 3 bands of all time.
For me,
Yeah.
I love Metallica more than anything in the whole world.
Anything?
Not anything, but
So that's one.
I love Metallica.
Okay.
I love Led Zeppelin probably more, actually. Led
Okay.
Zeppelin,
That was
Metallica.
misleading.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was thinking, like, who's my favorite? I love the Metallica for sure. Led Zeppelin's for sure. Led Zeppelin, Metallica, and then the best. Are you talking just my own preference, or do
Your
I
preference.
think of the best?
Your preference.
I really like Volbeat, but it wouldn't be the best. Leonard Skinner. At the end of the day, you like Journey. Oh, it's so hard.
You like the heavy.
I like
though.
heavy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
you like
heavy
the heavy.
shit. So I'll take Metallica. You know what? I might
Take
even
a
go.
1,
I
2,
might even go Leonard Skinner.
Okay. Third, eh?
Yeah, they're good, man.
Dalton, shot out of a cannon, top 3 bands or top 3 artists of all time for like your preference.
Rolling Stones is another one. They're good.
So you got an interchangeable 3.
Oh yeah.
So your top 2 are solid, and then your third.
Well, you know what? No. Got it. My third would be AC/DC for sure.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they got a
I
long,
thought you were gonna say AC/DC.
long list. Yeah, well, I got so many, but it's heavy. AC/DC, Metallica, and Led Zeppelin. Yeah, there's it done.
Anything you could say, Eminem, Ed Sheeran, and Taylor Swift. I don't care. Really? Toby Keith.
Really?
Toby Keith. That's a different one.
Wow.
Really? USA. So
I
you
don't
got
even know who
interchangeable-
Toby Keith is.
Really? Country artist.
Yeah, I know that, but I
Oh.
don't know. No, but I would not know if you were Toby Keith, which you're not.
I'm not.
I would not know who Toby Keith is.
Okay.
Sitting right there.
I don't think I would either.
I
don't know what he
I don't
looks
even
like.
know what his music is.
No.
He passed away?
This year he passed away? Really? Interesting. R.I.P. Toby Keith.
I really like Rolling Stones too.
I never really got into that because I had the like hair bands thing with my dad. The 80s. It was like Styx Journey vibes, not so heavy.
So the big argument. The big one is this is what I find. Your dad likes the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
Not a big fan of the Stones. So that's what I find a lot of people are.
Right.
You like one or the other.
Yeah, it's one side of the
So
street or the
Bushy, Paul Bushinger, he's a musician, somewhat like your dad, not to that level, but he's like
in the
he's in the music industry too, and his group of friends, it's really funny, right? Because they look at music a different way. I go, you guys like the Stones? They go, they're okay. I go, what? Do you like the Beatles? They go, yeah, we love the Beatles. I'm like, why? And they say, oh, the Beatles' music is so smart. To me, it sounds so dumb.
yeah.
But obviously, I don't know anything about music. And I find a lot of music people love the Beatles. Maybe they respect it, whatever. Yeah. Like Joey Serlin, Leo's dad. He's a musician. He's a Watchman. That's his band. Listen to it, pretty good. He wrote a story about his wife and his kid, and through COVID, it was really cool. He says Beatles, they're so, I forget the word was, deep,
intelligent. Yeah, it's like intelligent
whatever.
music. Yeah.
So I'm like, really, like, and I can't stand the Beatles except for a couple of songs. I love the Rolling Stones, but I didn't grow up loving them. I liked some songs, and then as I get deep, sometimes I'll work out just to Rolling Stones, and it's like so good. Like Honky Tonk Woman. You like it? If you don't,
Yeah, it's a good song.
well, no, it's a sick song.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I
And
don't
then
disagree.
my favorite Rolling Stone, or no, I got a couple, but what is it? My favorite one that I don't remember the words. Give me shelter.
Give me
Give
shelter.
me shelter. If I don't know how you could not listen to that song 20 times in a row.
I don't. I see what you're saying. I'm
And
much
then
the
getting
same.
off course. I know you asked me one question. I got 25
No, you're
answers.
good. This is what
You
we
want to
this is what
know
we do.
You want to know an undercover song that you know? Yeah, I've played this for you. Eminence Front from The Who. You know what? I can listen to that
That's a good song.
for.
You have a good like music palette.
I am a cool dude.
Yeah, you are a cool dude.
No, I am. I'm
You are
sick.
cool. When
No.
you'll have everything play. Like if you're just shuffling songs when you work out, it'll go everything from Voltbeat to Snoop Dogg to whatever. Like it's a very
I've got
wide
this
range.
one song that is 100% from a musical that I love. A Summers. It's called a Summers.
Mamma Mia.
No. It's called a Summers. It's from some wiener guy in the 30s or 40s. It's I could find it after. It's anyways. My wife goes, "You, what are you listening to?" I go, I love this song. Last thing before I know you want to go somewhere with this. Did I ever tell you I read the book from um, Bill football player? Nuts, huh? Oh, football.
The linebacker guy?
Yeah,
No, Bill. No, the guy that you said.
he's an actor
He's
now
an
in
actor,
Adam
yeah.
Sandler movies now. Bill. It's from Boston. I've lent this book out to a couple people.
Romanowski.
Bill Romanowski.
Bill Romanowski.
So
got it.
I don't think I might have said this on a podcast before, but read this book. It was really cool. It's not the deepest, but it actually is.
Just a ball of contradictions.
Yeah, because so I know we're not even close
No,
to
you're
doing
good.
anything
You're
right
good.
now.
You're good.
So I love this book. It was I don't, a lot of the autobiographies, they just talk about, when I played here, I had 25 tackles, and they tell you about a hockey game and you go, wow, is that boring? He's got a little bit of that in there, but he talks about the reason he became like basically a psychopath on the ice on the field was he always thought he couldn't stand. He always thought he was going to get cut, or someone was going to be better. So he started off nutrition, getting really, really, really dialed in on nutrition when he was in high school. And then it escalated obviously to like finding supplements that would help him to like went to right to the end. But he was, what I liked about it was like when I tell kids to read that, like when I told Charlie to read it, it's like don't worry about like don't get all bent. Like if parents say something, don't get bent all the shape because he ended up doing steroids at one time. Because what happens is when guys start doing things, they just want to get better and better, right? But the point was he was doing like so dialed into nutrition and so dialed into eating well and working out, like and sprinting, and it was so extreme, but it was like the desire to never lose his job, right? So that's a good thing. So the steroids and stuff at the end, or whatever that happens, and whatever, and he had the rage and stuff, but respected how driven he was, just not to be. You go to extremes, right? But going back to the music, he was talking about before games when he would warm up on the field. He goes, he put his headphones on. Back then it was headphones, and he'd be just smacking his head like, yeah. And you'd think he was listening to Metallica or something. He'd listen to Elton John.
Really?
And he said that would just
do something.
It just crossed the wires, and then he just built a hate for the other team, and it would just be like,
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like Levon or Rocket Man. It was just sending him.
Man, I'm not joking.
It's pretty neat, eh?
I always say this whenever I talk to anyone. I just have such a deep appreciation for music because of my family, but it is actually a drug. Like you get the right song for the right thing at the right time. It can totally change your mood. It changes your state. It changes how you're feeling. In the same way, if you had a coffee and you go from sleeping to feeling like you're awake now, it's like it can totally shift everything about your physiology, like just like that.
But yeah, put some music on, guys.
The reason I said that, I just showed you that song my dad and sister just released, that Separate Ways.
So good.
Cover. It's probably we've talked about my dad a little bit before. My dad's a music genius guy, and so he puts out his own music and stuff on YouTube. You guys got to check this song out. I think it's the best thing he's ever done. I know I'm biased, but like, holy hell! My sister sings, and my dad does all the instruments and does backup vocals and harmonies. Holy shit!
Yeah, no, it's so good.
And Separate Ways is also one of my favorite songs of all time, because Journey's one of my top 3. So they're unreal, man. They're unreal. I think I was just being around it too. But I have a super wide palette too. Like I went to like Morgan Wallen concert last year, who I love, which is like country, to Eminem.
No idea.
Like your point with Eminem. To
Eminem I like.
To Led Zeppelin, to the Beatles, to like because my sister's like an indie artist, I find like these weird. We went through a phase when I was in high school where my sister would just send songs back and forth of some like random one-off artist that no one's ever heard of, that you would never think of listening to. That
you never hear from them again.
Yeah, and you never hear from them again. I went through like a big punk rock phase in high school where it was like Mayday Parade and All Time Low. Like that was my first concert I ever went to. I was my first mosh pit I'd ever been in at the Blind Dog downtown Windsor. For anyone who remembers that.
My first concert was Ozzy Osbourne when I was 14.
Oh my god, unbelievable! Was that when he could still speak or no?
Oh, he was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Our school was like our principal at our school, the little wiener, eh?
Oh yeah.
He tried to ban him from coming to Sudbury, Ontario.
Really?
Because he was worshiping the devil and all this stuff. And we're like, okay, there, mister.
Yeah.
This guy used to wear a canary yellow suit to school.
Full suit?
Yeah. Full suit.
Top, bottom,
canary yellow.
That's tough.
Little wiener.
That's tough. How about the intro to Crazy Train? Oh, get me a better guitar riff than like.
That was my first concert. It was good. That's what it was after his Aussie Live album that came out, and everybody was buying. It was so good. Oh, so
interesting.
Good. And then one song that
yeah, go ahead.
One song that I love, I was just thinking, is I've never really heard of Radiohead.
Oh yeah,
but their song "Creep."
Yeah, what a song!
Love it.
I remember playing that song on Rock Band when I was a kid.
Love it.
Creep.
Love it. But you know this? Did I talk to you? I heard what it's about.
Yeah.
What did I tell
about
you?
The girl thing.
Yeah.
That's been on the podcast. You've said that. Before.
Well, just so you know, Dalton.
Yeah, tell Dalton.
The guy was like in college, and he was playing in a band in college, and I forget. Anyway, something along the lines. He was in love with this girl, like he couldn't take her eyes off her, loved her, and she would watch him play music. Just a second. And basically, so maybe he had a cool moment. I'm butchering it. Maybe he had a cool moment or something like that where she was like at the thing. And he basically said to her, like, man, I've been, like, I stare at you. I'm in love with you. I've been, everywhere you go, I'm thinking about you and all that. And she basically said, you're a creep. And all the words in the song, you're a creep, you're a weirdo, all that shit. So that's probably nothing like that anymore. It's been 2 years since I heard the story.
Yeah, true.
Anyways, go.
I'm leaving all that in. That was hilarious. Oh yeah, I love it. I was talking to Brian the other day, from Maloney and Thompson, and he listened to the podcast. We were talking about sandwiches to start the episode with Dalton.
Sandwiches.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about subs. Like, if you're gonna get a sub, what kind of sub would you get?
Yeah.
And you didn't like my question, and you're like, you ended up saying you get a meatball, and then because Dalton had a Subway in here.
Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
He enjoyed that one. The intro banter. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he thought it was funny. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the PowerTech online membership program. If you've been listening to Andy and I wondering, hey, how are they able to get all this podcast content out there? Well, that's because of our members. For just $9.99 a month, you can get access to our online video library, including hundreds of videos of Coach Andy teaching, and have the option for consultation calls with Andy or myself to go over anything you need. We can cover training, nutrition, coaching, parenting, agents, the junior college hockey path, whatever's of interest to you. You'll also be able to participate in our popular Ask Me Anything episodes, have access to special discount codes, and be given priority for any PowerTech in-person camps or events. If you like what we're doing here and you want to support us, this is the best way to do it. Visit powertechhockey.ca/memberships or find the link in the description of this video to learn more. Okay, hockey things. Did you see the one clip I know you don't check a whole lot, but the one clip I posted about Lucic, where we talked about a couple weeks ago?
Oh.
Do you know the clip I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so people are all, discussing.
Okay, so basically what you said is that people think fourth liners might not be that good, and Lucic, let's say someone thinks Lucic sucked, and you basically said like he would dangle around anybody.
Yeah, he'd be better than anyone.
And then people would say, I saw him, blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah.
So that was arguing that the guy that played in 15 years in the NHL, or they're going to probably argue about that. It was 13 and a half, but that he was
And then there was the one about the goalies.
Oh, that one's unreal.
The goalies, where you were saying like the movement efficiency makes like the positioning look almost unathletic. You're not saying the goalies aren't athletes.
That's not what I would say at all.
That episode.
Yeah, I love it.
So I'm not taking it that way. The one thing that I read that I thought might be an interesting thing to talk about is, so for Lucic, one of the comments was his last year in Calgary or something. I don't know exactly how much he was making, but let's say his contract was $6 million or something like that, because he was getting paid like towards the end of his career. And I thought that was an interesting thing to talk about, because a lot of guys towards the end of their career not everyone, because a lot of guys fizzle out and don't do that, but a lot of guys, if they had a stint where they were a top end player or a whatever, and they get that last big contract, like they're getting paid at the end of their career based on past performance, more or less. So I guess my question to start off is just your thoughts about that, like the contract setup, or talking more broadly about the types of contracts that guys get in the NHL or through pro, because a lot of people don't really know a lot about like how much money they're actually making, how much money they're actually taking home, what's valued for different players, and then that idea of like Ovechkin, even though he might never take a hard stride in his last 2 years, it's not a good example now because he's still scoring a whole bunch of goals, but like in his last couple years, he might be useless. Like maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But let's say he doesn't score very many goals, he's probably still going to make $10 million a year, even if he's no longer really playing up to the level. So just general thoughts on that first, from like a contract perspective, and guys like that are getting paid on past performance, and like what do you think of it? Because it seems to be just from that video, people are like bent out of shape because the guy's getting paid, X amount of dollars, even though he's maybe not the most valuable player to have on the team anymore. Does that
Yeah,
make
well,
sense?
I think a lot of times, like first of all, what people have to remember is the really, really, really good high end players don't get paid the first 3 years. Like the Connor Bedard, I mean, they're going to make their money in some endorsements and stuff, but still, like you get the ELC with some bonuses and stuff, but they're not making the money that they're like Connor McDavid coming in, Cale Makar coming in. The stars that come in are not making the money that they're worth at the beginning of
Yeah,
their career.
yeah. Your first 2 years are discounted.
Yeah, now a lot of people would say, "Oh, poor guys," but it's like when there's only 800 jobs or 750 to 800 jobs available, you got to get paid. Like they're the best in the world for a reason. So, anyways, they you don't make your money early. So I would say that's number one. So players themselves obviously want to cash in for everything they possibly can, except for Sidney Crosby, who just refuses to make more than 8.7 million a year and wants his team to be well. Like that's amazing. But that's really cool. But then yeah, you get to like so Patty Kane signed recently with Detroit again, right? And it's like, is he at the end of his career, or the beginning? But he signed for really good money, probably more than. I don't even like saying it like that because who the hell am I to say is he worth it or not? Because you don't. The other thing is, you don't know what they bring to the dressing room, the leadership, and people like you can devalue that very very quickly. But yes, I would say a lot of guys that sign contracts in their last tail end of their career, they sign for what they have done rather than what they can do. There's some general managers now that are tightening that up a little bit, and they're just basically saying, "No, you're not worth that anymore, so you're not going to get it." And they're probably right most of the times. But I guess I don't know. It's hard for me to say because um, who's the thing is who's to say like these guys that are stars, you just don't know. Like
Well, so sorry to cut you off. My example I gave one just like in the comments. So if you work a corporate job, normally the people at the top are probably not really grinding as much as those like mid-level kind of managers. You know what I mean? So like if you're a mid-level manager at a company, you're probably putting in the hours and hustling and doing all that stuff. And maybe the person a couple steps above you, and this is obviously not entirely true across the board, but like or a better example is someone who has seniority at a plant,
Chrysler
even. Yeah,
plant,
Chrysler plant. Like if you're somebody who's been there for 30 years, like,
you can do nothing.
and you get the most money,
Yeah,
right?
you can
So
do
you get a
absolutely
ton of
nothing.
money, you get preferences on what you pick on what you're working, how often you're working, when your shifts are, and all like just human nature. People try to optimize for doing the least amount of work for the most amount of money, right? For people that are CEOs or higher level employees, after they've maybe been through that grunt work and put in the time, they're now getting paid because they did that before, and like a lot of like sports would be no different, right? So for a lot of guys, those that like have their value and have proved their value over a certain number of years, maybe they're not at that value anymore, but because of what they've done for you, or whatever past things they have, or whatever their past contracts were, that is, they're still getting paid a little bit on that, a little bit on reputation, a little bit on past performance on what they've done before. And I don't think that's wrong. You know what I mean? I don't think that's wrong, especially because like Zach Cassian was just here today, and I was asking him about um, has he had his skates on? Like, so it's been the second year now that he's been retired, and he said he hasn't even put his skates on. He's like, you just need a break. He's like, yeah, you just need a break, man. So I asked him, I was like, I was joking. I was just said, yeah, they did a little spotlight on him last year when he was at the game in Edmonton for the Stanley Cup Finals, and I was like, well, yeah, wouldn't you want to? I bet you'd want to be back in that game. And he's like, yeah, maybe one game, but like 82 games. He's like, it's a grind, man. Like you're getting beat down. Your whole job is getting beat down. Like that's what your job is, you know. And people don't think of it that way, but 82 game schedule, that is your job, is to just get shit kicked for 82 games. You know,
So physically hard.
yeah, right.
So I asked him. I said, "What?" We weren't being negative about it. We were joking around. He said, he said, "What are you doing after?" I said, "Oh, I got the podcast and I'm gonna get a workout." And he goes, "Man, I got to start." He doesn't look bad either, but he's two. I said, "What do you weigh now?" He goes like 248. He doesn't look at it. And I said, "Well, you would have played your last little bit at 210." He goes, "Yeah, 210, 214." So he's got 30 some pounds on him.
He's a big man.
But that's like the game is like it's incredibly hard. Like people have no idea if you're not in the grind. Like I just watched my junior kid on a daily basis, right? Like it's every day, and obviously it's every day. So people are gonna say, "Well, don't cry about it." Like I'm not crying. But what I'm saying is like you think playing hockey's fun, which it is, but like there's the pressure with it, but it's physically absolutely exhausting. And if you see the lumps and the stuff that my kid walks around with, and he came home at the end of his last season with a broken foot. What else was a broken foot, high ankle sprain that he had played with for 4 months, and just bumps and bruises all over the place.
Well, I
Right?
asked Zach too because I said I don't remember you ever having any major injuries. He said I had the back where he's like I missed like 58 games or something the one year, but he's like outside of that it was like fingers, hands, like that kind of stuff for his face, a couple concussions. But then like Ryan Vesey that was here a few weeks ago, he had like 4 or 5 surgeries or something like that. Like he was hurt all the time, like his whole career, you know. And most like even Zach was saying that like that was most guys. Like most guys you're hurt a lot, you know, and like that is what the job is, you know, which is people don't think about that part, you know, when they're thinking about the money that you're getting paid. But I wanted you to kind of go back to we've talked about this a little bit before, but even just from the contract standpoint, if you got a guy that's not a superstar, like what are some of the things to think about that these guys are? Let's say it this way: if you make whatever, let's say you're making $1 million a year as a signed NHL player,
Yeah, it's basically a minimum wage.
yeah, how much money do you actually get? Like how much are you actually coming home with at the end of it?
I think it's like 250 to 300.
Of the
'Cause you get-
million?
Yeah,
So what's the breakdown? Like how you getting?
basically you got your 50% tax, give or take. You have your agent fee. You have escrow. That's a big one. That's about I think it's anywhere from 18 to 28%.
To 28%?
Yeah, like I think it goes.
Really?
All it is it depends on the revenue from the hockey related revenue. So it could go in the 20s. I think at one point it was like maybe I blew it out of proportion there, but I know it could be in the 20s or it is in the 20s. But the more money hockey related revenue is, the lower the escrow. But that takes a huge chunk of your income. Then you just have to play like you can. That's just the basics, right? You have to buy your insurance and stuff like that, which could be costly. Your agent's going to be somewhere about 2 to 5%. I don't think most guys have an agent taking 5% anymore. Probably like 2.5, 3% of your income. So that's the bulk of it. And then for someone that, if you can, you want to get like good trainers. So some trainers can cost you anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, $25,000, right? So you might say, well, that's if you're making 10 million, that's not that much money. It's not. But if you're making 1 million, now it is.
Yeah, this says that escrow this year is 6%.
6%.
6 NHL
Huh.
for the next 2 seasons. Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so that's got no, but that's a positive. So the more hockey related revenue, now I'm gonna have some bean counter, poking his glasses saying, no, it was never 23%, Uncle Andy. It was, you're an idiot. You're not an accountant. I go, I'm not an accountant. I know, but I know that it was very, very, very high. At least at one point, I think it was in around the 20s, at the highest point.
Interesting.
I could be wrong, but I'm positive of that.
Okay, so I did a little template like run through ChatGPT. $1 million contract, how much are they taking home? So this would be for 23, 24. So on $1 million, you're paying 6%. Um,
I think it's more though.
yeah, so whatever. So that's 60 grand. Then agent fee, which would be for some somewhere between 2 and 6%. So that'd be 40 grand there. Taxes, 37% in the US, 33% in Canada. And then there's some that have no um, provincial
Federal
or
state
state
tax.
tax. Jock taxes. Ever heard
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah, that's
Have
where
it?
every time you play in a different state, you get taxed for the amount of
That's
time
right.
you're there.
Fuck this guy. Dalton, this guy knows some info. Okay. Example calculation. Federal tax, $297,000. Provincial tax, $184,000. So total tax they're paying $481,000 on a $1 million salary. So their net after taxes is just over 400,000 on a $1 million contract.
If the the escrow is at 6%, but a lot of times it's more.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. Like I'm
Yeah,
not.
it's all
Don't
plus or
hold me to
minus.
this, man.
No, but that is, but,
I don't even know
but that's actually, it is
how.
interesting.
I don't know how
though.
the interest works on my $1 billion account. So
But it is interesting because people don't think of that. They think of it in their own life when they're making whatever they're making. But for these guys, it's like, okay, on $1 million, you're getting $400,000, right? On a low end, depending on what your fees are and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting.
I'd say most guys make on $1 million is a little bit less, but I digress. So you're actually in some sense better off to be a good American League player if you're going to make NHL league minimum.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay escrow.
Oh, they don't have something similar in the HL?
They don't have escrow.
Really?
So if you take away that 6%, or if it's 18% that 1 year, you're saving some. You look at like take Ovechkin, Patty Kane. Like who knows what part of the career they're at, but part of it is like who just signed Tom Wilson just signed another 8 year, I think 7 or 8 years.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
So that's my question. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. What, like that's the tricky part of doing contracts.
Tom Wilson signed that long?
Yeah,
Really?
6 to 8 years, and good money. And he's a great player and he does his thing. But that's the question: can you do that in 4 years from now? Like, so I have a really Cider and
7 year, 45.5 million.
yeah, 7 years,
6.5 a year.
Yeah. So
Holy
can I'm not saying he can or can't. It's a legit question. It's like, so when someone hits 30 years old, 30-ish, he's probably 33. So you're saying he can play till 40 years old, play in that style? And God bless you, maybe he can. But it's like, that's the gamble, right?
So, okay, listen to this breakdown. This is all ChatGPT again, so maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right. So Tom Wilson, for example, base salary $4 million, signing bonus $5 million. So his total salary is actually $9 million, but then his cap hit is $6.5 million. How does that work?
Don't ask me.
You don't no idea?
No, carry the one, man. I don't know. No idea. No idea.
I don't know either. So
I don't understand that shit.
Me neither. So okay, so he's right through to 2031. So in his last year, his base. So maybe this is how it is, right? So his I don't get it. I don't understand. That base salary in 2030-31 is 900,000. Signing bonus 4.5 million. Total salary 5.4, but his cap hit is still 6.5.
I don't know.
I need someone smarter than me to send me.
It's probably not that hard. I know some of it has to do with signing bonus. Some of it has to do with what the bonuses over the years. It could increase or decrease the salary, I believe. But I'm not a doctor.
I want somebody. I could just look into it myself, but somebody send me an email. Someone send me an email.
Ian could answer it all in 2 seconds.
On how that works, because that would be interesting. Speaking of a guy like Ovechkin too, how about this guy with his goal scorer still, man?
That's what I'm saying. So the best of the best. You never know. You never know what you're gonna like. They could be forever. So like I was just looking in Detroit because Charlie was there this year, and when he was at camp, Maurice Sider just signed, and who was the other guy? Was it Lucas Raymond? No. Anyways,
yeah, it was Raymond.
Was it? No. Was
it not Raymond?
Who's
yeah, Raymond re-signed. Yeah.
Was it like they both signed? They were similar contracts and stuff like that, but they signed for 8 years, and I'm like, that's like I don't know. I don't know how you project someone for 8 years. Like the defenseman in Minnesota, he just signed another 8 year. It's like it's hard for me to. I guess you win on some of these contracts, or you can get it could bite you in the ass
for sure. So this I take a guy like Ovechkin just because he's probably gonna break Gretzky's record.
He might.
Goals. So like
Might not.
this guy's never had.
He could go right in the mud next month.
I know. So this is what I'm saying. So this guy hasn't had a season under 30 goals ever, right? Like his lowest was 32. Oh no, he had 24 in 2020, but half a season he only played 45 games. So 31 last year. He's at 15 already this year. 15 goals in 18 games. Okay, so see adult. So he's however many goals left off of Gretzky's record. So I'm looking at this guy, and like at the start of this season, because people were talking about it last year, like he's coming up on Gretzky's record, and I'm like, okay, he's never had a season under 30 goals. Now he's almost 40. He's 39 or whatever now. Can his style of play, how he scores his goals, I'm like, he looks like he could do that indefinitely as long as he can still shoot the puck.
How many of someone could get him the puck?
Yeah, as long as somebody gets him to the puck on that 1T side, like the style of goals he scores, I'm like, I don't see that going away. So for a guy like that, when you're going to go into a contract for him, which I don't even know where he's at in his contract, but how you have to pay. It doesn't matter if he's 40, right?
Yes, I don't know.
I don't
know.
Man. So if he ends up breaking Gretzky's record, well, I don't know. It's hard to say because guy looks like he barely skates when he's out there.
Charlie and I watched him in Detroit one year, and like he didn't skate. He floated in the neutral zone and then took a couple strides here and there, and he had a goal that game.
And he's plus 15 right now.
Yeah. Go figure.
Right? Isn't that wild? So, anyways, interesting enough. Interesting enough. I was thinking about that when I saw the comments on the Lucic video about the salary stuff, the contract stuff. Is there anything else about contracts of interest before you shut her down here?
Of interest? I don't know. I don't know ins and outs of it, to be honest with you. I don't really understand. The ELCs are all the same within a few, $10,000, $20,000. That's an ELC is standard. Like if someone signs in the NHL, they're going to get the minute. Like there's an ELC, meaning entry level. And
it doesn't matter who you are across the board.
It doesn't matter. You could be Connor Bedard is going to make the same money roughly as Jet Luchenko or Matt Patras or
okay. So a guy like Jet, for example, who came back versus maybe Potts that stayed. How does that impact the contract at all? Do you know? Like if Potts stayed.
If you come back to junior, like I could screw this up, but it's basically true, right? Like you sign, you get your signing bonus. So let's say you have a $95,000 a year signing bonus, or 85 or 75, whatever you want it, whatever you work it out to be. Then if you get sent back to junior, you get your signing bonus. You don't get your salary.
Your salary, right? Yeah.
Get your salary would kick in when you turn pro.
Right. And that's the only difference. And then it's in your last year, the third year of the ELC is when you renew, and that's when if you're a good player, that's when those guys will get their first decent contract.
Yeah, it could be decent, could be not so decent.
Really? Because would that have been when Eki signed his 7 year?
That was a big one.
That was after the 3 though. So that was right after his ELC. He got a 7 year whatever. And then did he re-sign again too?
Did he resign? I don't know if he resigned this year yet.
Would he be in the contract year this year?
I don't think he is in a contract year. I don't think he did sign yet. He might have. I you know what? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, he's a free agent at the end of this year. Interesting. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to chat about?
I don't think so.
No? Good? Okay, I'm good. Okay, dude. Ciao. See you guys next week.